Is your mental health care team made up of cops? And is that more than just a metaphor? It's the Bipolar Index. We're cataloging madness, and today we're flipping to C. Look, cops are often the default first responders to mental health calls, and I could dive into criminalization of mental health crises or reliance on jails instead of treatment, but we're actually going to save that conversation for another day. Instead, let's consider how psychiatry and counseling function as enforcers of law and order in our society, much like cops do. To stitch a great launching off point,
in her book, Caliban and the Witch, Silvia Federici says, "The human body was the first machine invented by capitalism." That means that the human body is one of the machines that capitalism depends on to make profit and to uphold that system. And if the body is a machine for labor production, then doctors are the mechanics that the state hired to keep the machines running efficiently and to discipline it when the machine malfunctions.
I encourage you to watch the full video and follow them, because Caliban and the Witch is such a great way to present the logic here. If, as Federici argues, the body was capitalism's first machine, disciplined through surveillance, punishment, and persecution, then modern psychiatry might just shift that gaze inward. Therapists and psychiatrists can function as regulators of the mind who wield the power to mandate treatment, confine people under suspicion of harm, authorize or deny requests from work, and ultimately determine whether one's mental state remains productive, compliant, and legible to capital. Raven's video is really doing the heavy lifting for me, but to flesh the viewpoint out further, both psychiatry and law enforcement seem to fail at managing the failures of American social policies. Prozac for your homelessness and cognitive behavioral therapy to reframe your food insecurity clearly leaves something to be desired. And as ACA subsidies expired with the turn of the new year, many more people are going to fall through the cracks. While your therapists and psychiatrists aren't literally hanging around every neighborhood waiting to harass and arrest people, they are integrated in almost every public institution. They can hold you in involuntary psychiatric detention under the pretense of you being a threat to yourself or others. The infamous 72-hour psychiatric holds even have their own billing codes in some states, and California's 5150 has become a cultural reference point. Check out Van Halen's album and song by the same name for some rock on the subject. And after your hold is over, you may still have to prove your sanity in court prior to release. So is it more than metaphor that the psychiatric hospital is a prison? And does the prison abolitionist movement include these facilities as well? Both prisons and psychiatric institutions depend on law enforcement to transport and respond. They also use solitary confinement and seclusion in cell-like rooms, use chemical and physical restraints, and offer little to no access to sunlight, fresh air, cell phones, news, and the outside world. In both, there is limited power to appeal legal or medical decisions, and the overwhelming majority of inmates are survivors of previous traumatic experiences. We covered anti-psychiatry in another video, but deinstitutionalization and psychiatric abolition deserve more understanding here. Non-carceral forms of community care and crisis response are already evolving around us. In New York City, Services for the Underserved does this work every day through the assertive community treatment model with peer support that exists outside of the carceral industrial complex. Other examples include Project Let's, the Hearing Voices Network, Mad in America, Sins Invalid, and more. And speaking of New York City, our new mayor, Zohran Mamdani's vision for the Department of Community Safety will seek to prioritize peer-led programs in a similar vein. So when we ask whether mental health care has become another arm of policing, the real question is, what would it mean to do something different? Zohran seems to be in the hot seat over his platform on police and those intersections with mental health. But public safety can't mean expanding forced treatment, involuntary hospitalizations, or policing by any other name. Swapping cops for clinicians who still have the power to confine, sedate, and surveil isn't transformation, it's rebranding. Ultimately, Zohran's focus on housing, income security, and an affordable NYC for all may just address mental distress more holistically than relying on peer-led care and non-police crisis response alone, because you can't really medicate people out of poverty or therapize away structural violence. If psychiatric hospitals rely on coercion and confinement, expanding them doesn't move us away from carcerality, it deepens it. The future of mental health in New York City won't be decided by how many people we detain, but by recognizing the conditions that lead to each crisis and tackling them.